So now seems to be the time of year when people with their gaming YouTube channels or movie channels do a tour of what you might call a man cave or a gaming room or that sort of thing. And so I thought, why not join in on that party? And so what I wanted to do though is a little bit different, because a lot of times when you see these rooms, people have sort of massive spaces or large spaces that they can use for that purpose. But what do you do when you have kind of a smaller space that you can, try to curate and organize so that it works for the purposes of having an area that you can enjoy and kind of get away from the fray in and display things that you've collected when it comes to gaming, when it comes to pop culture, movies, that sort of thing. And so you've seen in my videos this room that I'm currently in now. This is sort of my gaming room, my movie room. It's really become more of a movie room lately. Of course, I love gaming. I still game pretty regularly, but I've just been kind of out of it for really, the past, month or two, and have been focused more on movies lately. But I thought I'd give you just a quick tour, and I think if for no other reason to suggest that you don't necessarily need a huge space in order to have a movie room or a gaming room, whatever you want to call it. You can take a small room and make it your own and really enjoy that. And so what this is really an office. And so I haven't gotten the tape measure out to really get the exact dimensions of it, but if I had to guess, I'd say maybe 15 feet by 20 feet, maybe 15 by 15 is probably more accurate. So it's a small space, but it's one that I really enjoyed sort of transforming into something that I can call my own. Of course, a lot of the family hangs out in here, but primarily and thankfully my better half has allowed me to kind of make this my own room, for better or worse. So I'm going to take you on a tour of that, and what you're going to see is that other than this, ever-expanding Funko Pop collection that you see behind me and in the other videos, it's a relatively minimalistic kind of design, and that's the way I like it. I don't like a whole lot of clutter, even though I do have a lot of things I like to display. I like to try and keep it simple, and so this is something that I think anyone can do. So if you have a small space, you can make something like this too. So let's take a look. All right, so when you first walk into the game room, the first thing you're really greeted with, this kind of prominent in here, is my Funko Pop collection. And if you've seen any of my other videos, these are always featured in the background just based on where I sit and record the videos. And I think I've got, I'm gonna say, maybe a little shy of 110 Funkos in my collection. A lot of them are Star Wars based. So you can see I really love the Smuggler's Bounty boxes. So kind of along the wall here on each side of the Skyward Sword poster that I have. Really the Smuggler's Bounty Funko Pops are the ones that kind of stand out. And Skyward Sword, that's a divisive Zelda title among Nintendo fans, but I love it. I think it's one of the best Zelda games, if just not games in general, ever made. And so I'm actually going to get a frame for this. It's kind of an oddly sized poster, but I'm going to track down a frame, probably on Amazon for it. Anyway, my Funko Pop collection takes up a lot of the space here. Being from Charlotte, I am, of course, or I guess living now in Charlotte. I'm not originally from this area, but, being here, I'm a Panthers fan. Ever since I really got into football, I've been a big Panthers fan. So this is from a local artist. I think his name's David French, and he does really cool work. And so Bank of America Stadium, I don't know what the Panthers are going through right now, but they'll get better. They'll get better soon. But just sort of going back, I've got my Nintendo Switch hooked up in this room, and you can see I've got the green and sort of neon yellow Joy-Con going right now, and that's from the Mario Party bundle that you could get, and that was a crazy deal. You could get that for $80. So you got the game, the two Joy-Con for $80, and so I still have the standard gray ones that came with my Switch, but that was too good of a deal to pass up, especially considering that Joy-Con by themselves are close to that price, something like $80. So it was a good deal, especially since the kids and I play Mario Party all the time. I've got in here a 42-inch 4K Toshiba Roku TV that I use all the time. In fact, though, I actually use a Roku Ultra, really, for movie watching and other things. Because I found that even though this is a smart TV and it mostly looks fine when you're streaming stuff, the Ultra just looks better. And the Ultra is actually hardwired into our Ethernet, or via Ethernet to our modem, so it just feels a little bit more stable. It seems a little bit better in terms of the picture quality you get out of it. So anyway, I have my Wii collection here as well, which is not massive at all. Just a handful of games. But in my case, when I'm going for games, I'm always going for quality over quantity. So these are games that I still revisit time and again, or the kids may pick up and play. A lot of, I think, solid titles in here. I mean, you can kind of look and see Super Mario Brothers Wii, Okami, both Mario Galaxies, Kirby's Epic Yarn. That Rayman game is one that my 5-year-old son picked out at a local video game store, and I haven't played it yet, but he seems to like it. Wii Sports, Sin and Punishment, Star Successor. That's a pretty cool game. I've gotten decently far into it. I haven't finished it, but a lot of people consider that sort of a must-own Wii title. Again, I think it's pretty good. Don't love it necessarily, but I like it from what I've played so far. Wii Sports Resort. Skyward Sword, again, I mentioned one of my favorite games of all time. A lot of people don't like the motion controls in that one, but I just think it's a brilliant game, and I love the music in that game. Twilight Princess. That is a Zelda game that for one reason or another I just cannot get through. I've tried playing it maybe 2-3 times through now. I get several hours into it and I just kind of drop off for whatever reason. I mean, I love Breath of the Wild. I love Ocarina of Time. I just, for whatever reason, could not get into Twilight Princess. But one day I'm sure I'll get through it, maybe. Metroid Other M, that's okay. And you can see sort of the other titles I've got here. A couple of collector's editions and special editions for Skyward Sword and Mario All-Stars. So, again, a pretty modest collection. I found this the stand for Wii storage at a place near our house called The Grid, which is kind of an offshoot of Goodwill, and they have a lot of video game and electronic stuff. I think it was $5, but I like the way it looks. It's got kind of that classic Wii look to it, and it's good for controllers and keeping them organized. Down here, my NES Joy-Con, some books, the snapping controller for the regular Joy-Con and my gray Joy-Con, which you can't really see because the lighting down there is terrible. Some other books, other controllers that are included here. My Xbox One controllers. There's the Wii U, I guess, Pro controller, if that's what they call it, down there. So anyway, here I do some computer gaming. So I play a good bit of stuff on Steam. I have really what amounts to be kind of a mid-tier PC. I mean, it's a cyber-powered PC that's, I think designed to run. Don't pay any attention to that kind of rat's nest of cords down there. I try to keep all of that as organized as I can, but it's near impossible without a bunch of zip ties, which I may actually get down there and try to organize a little bit better. But anyway, this plays most everything that I like to play on Steam. I mean, if a big game is coming out that's available on both PC and consoles, I'm probably going to get it on my Xbox One X, but a lot of indie games that come out on Steam that aren't available otherwise, I play on PC, and so that's sort of what I opt for there. I'm going to get a better keyboard soon, though. This is the one that came with it, and it's fine and sufficient, but eventually I want to get one that's just a little bit more comfortable to use. Got some inexpensive speakers from Best Buy for this computer, but they're great. They're plenty loud. They more than accomplish what I use them for, or what I need them to accomplish. This is Liberty Prime from Fallout, and I did a video on that, which I'll link here with a card, but this is one of the coolest statues that I own, and actually really it's kind of the only statue that I own. I have some other figures and things scattered about and some in storage in the attic, but it just looks so cool when it was released that I had to pick it up, so I did get that. I have here my Stadia controller. So Stadia, of course, is kind of a controversial thing that generates a lot of conversation and discussion and opinions among video game fans, but so far to me Stadia has worked really well. The only issue that I have right now is that it just does not have a great lineup of games. I think that that's gonna change. They just actually a few days ago announced that something like over 100 or maybe 120 new games are coming with a few exclusives, so I'll be curious to see what that looks like. But in my experience, Stadia has mostly worked well. There have been a couple of times where it lags a little bit, just depending on how heavily the internet's being used, but mostly it's clean and crisp and clear, and I can play it on my laptop. So I have a 2013 MacBook Air, which I use all the time. It still works great. There's a little bit of an issue on one kind of edge of the screen that's not all that noticeable unless you're kind of looking at it closely, but this just kind of, oh, there's Rocket. Hey, Rocket. He's checking out everything. This just kind of goes to show, what Stadia is trying to accomplish, and it actually works. I've got my Kindle Fire HD10, which I use for, you know, just watching media, movies and stuff in bed, just playing kind of quick little word games and that sort of stuff from time to time. And you can sideload the Google Play Store onto that, which is awesome. I've done that, so that helps a lot. I also have a Switch Pro Controller dock charging station, which is really helpful because I play my Switch a good bit. Haven't played it as much over the past month or two, but I've kind of gotten back into it over the past week or so. Actually, a little bit more than I had been previously. So, good thing to have the Pro Controller there. And of course, I've got my hoverboard here as well. I do a little bit of painting just for fun as a hobby. So, you'll see a couple of paintings as I sort of go around the room, but of course, here's something alluding to my Star Trek fandom, which is not as intense as my Star Wars fandom. Controversy, though that may generate, but just a picture I did of the NCC 1701A designation Enterprise, and so just like a one with a black hole, and me kind of messing around with some different designs on that. So to the back of the room, there's some Nintendo stuff scattered about. You'll see that I've got 3 Labo sets, the boxes of which are up here, and a handful of Amiibo that I have, which are really not that many, but and one just kind of Mario figure and one Fireman from Mega Man figure, as well as my 3DS. And actually, I have a really cool stand from this that I got from Rose Colored Gaming. There's a lot of different game room videos that cite them, including the one by Metal Jesus Rocks, where he talks about it, and they're really awesome stands. That was not that expensive, and I love the way my Zelda 3DS looks, and so I had to get something to display that. In my opinion, the most underrated console in history is the Wii U. A fantastic console that I'm actually probably going to play some Super Mario 64 on tonight, but poorly marketed by Nintendo, thus it tanked ultimately and gave us the Switch, which is a good thing. But I love the design of this box, and I love the Wii U in general, even though I don't have a huge Wii U collection. And so I had to kind of prominently display that. I'm a huge fan of Ready Player One. When I saw this on, I think it was the night it was released. I'm trying to remember when I saw it. I believe they were handing out these posters. I think that's where I got this. I can't remember, but I love that movie. I think it's kind of a return to classic Spielbergian stuff. I love the book too, so had to get that just to sort of honor it. And I'm going to get a frame for that in the not too distant future as well. This was gifted to me by a friend at work who knows that I'm a big Nintendo fan. He had this at home, asked if I wanted it, gave it to me. I've got it on display. And I'm ashamed to admit this, but I have never played Super Mario Sunshine, but I am going to try and play that soon. I have a GameCube that's actually hooked up in our 9-year-old son's room right now, and a copy of it, and so I'm probably going to confiscate that GameCube because he doesn't really play it that often. He plays it off and on here and there, but I'll probably hook it up down here so I can actually play that game and see what it's all about, because everyone says that it's amazing, and I will test that theory. This shelf was made by my father-in-law, so my wife had it all through college. We ended up putting it here in our office slash game room slash movie room thing. And so a couple of different things in here, a couple of puzzles that I've yet to put together, but I'm going to work on. I have the case for my Oculus Go headset, and I have the carrying case for my Super Nintendo Classic, which is also currently being used by our 9-year-old son, and he enjoys that a lot for now until I lay claim to it and bring it back into here, into this room. So got the box for my Fallout Liberty Prime statue, which I love, gaming headset, and then headsets for just kind of general media consumption, movies, TV shows, when I'm watching stuff on my tablet or laptop. A couple of strategy guides there, some miscellaneous boxes. Have my Wii U gamepad charging there, some laptop cases, and a handful of board games that are down there. And actually, I've got a couple of the pop protector boxes that I've gotten off of Amazon that I use for display purposes there too. So when those are depleted, I'll have to pick up some more of those. This was what the popcorn bucket that was used for Rise of Skywalker when I first saw that on opening night. So when I saw that on opening night, I should say. It was such a cool bucket, and it's made of a really durable plastic that I didn't want to throw it out. So I bought it home and decided to make it into a trash can. And you can see that there are dryer sheets there from all the laundry that I've been doing this weekend. So just catching up on some things and folding some clothes while watching movie and TVs and playing games. This couch has been in our family in a couple of different locations over the years, but it's perfect for this room. It works really well. I've got my ECU throw blanket on there. Go Pirates. They're playing tonight, actually, basketball against Cincinnati, and it's probably not going to go so well, but I'm going to turn that on shortly and see how it's going. This is kind of my ever-expanding Star Wars shelf, as it were. So this Black Series Luke was given to me by my 9-year-old son. He was in Target with my wife, and it was on clearance, and he bought it home and said, "Dad, I know how much you love Star Wars. I know how much you love Luke. Do you want this for your game room? You can display it." And if absolutely, I want it. You know, when your son gives you something like that, you're going to put it in a prominent place. So there it is. That Yoda Book of Wisdom was given to me by a friend at work. Didn't want to open it just because I thought the Yoda figure that it came with looked really cool, so I just kept it in the case. This Vader kind of half statue is actually a piggy bank, and it's got some coins in it right now that I could jingle around. I'm not going to do that, but really cool. This Yoda was given to me by a friend who was going to toss it, and of course I had to save Yoda. I made this tie model when I was in high school, and it's seen better days, but overall it's held up really well, and it was really fun to make and to paint, even though really the only thing I painted on it were the panels on the side, because it was almost already the right color of gray. But it took a while to build it, but I love it, and so I keep it in a place of prominence. I obtained this, as you can see, at Star Wars Celebration 6. It was a limited edition Scoundrels poster that has Han Solo and Indiana Jones, and I just love this. I thought the design of it was really cool. So it's kind of central to the game room / movie room. And then one year for Christmas, my wife got me Harrison Ford's autograph from an autograph shop. Kind of weird that it's cut out, excuse me, like that, but came from a trusted source. Pretty awesome, so I keep it sort of right there in front of everything. So moving over, this is where I have my very limited physical collection of Xbox stuff. So I've got my box for my Xbox One X, which in my opinion is one of the best consoles ever made. It's really reliable, has a ton of horsepower to it if you know anything about gaming, and I use it all the time, not just for gaming, but for, you know, media, Blu-rays, 4K Blu-rays, that kind of thing. Even though I've got not too many 4K Blu-rays, but it's just a really solid console, and I love it. I actually have it hooked up to the TV in the living room just because that's a better TV, and it needs something out there for media, and so I use that usually in the evenings if I'm not hanging out in here for gaming and movies and that kind of stuff. So got the box for my Xbox One Elite controller. Best controller ever made, in my humble opinion. If you can swing it, get one of those. I never would have bought one, honestly, until my wife surprised me for my birthday one year and got it, and I love it. I use it all the time. Just an extra box for a standard Xbox One controller. Some of my games, some of my 360 games that I've got sort of on display here just to try and keep things looking clean. This is something that was gifted to me by my buddy Darren. Darren, if you're watching this, thanks, man. I really like it. Grew up watching the Duke Blue Devils with my grandmother, who passed away several years ago, and so always been a Duke fan, and this was just kind of a cool thing. Darren had it, didn't really have a place for it, asked me if I wanted it, and it's really nice. Celebrating the 2010 National Championship, so I put it in here. It's a good thing. I talked about some of my painting endeavors. I came up with this ridiculous Alien vs. Predator American Gothic mashup painting, and I made this several years ago and stuck it on the wall in here, and I don't know if the kids really know what to make of it because it's a little hilarious and intense, but I just thought it would be a really funny thing to have as kind of a showpiece, and so it's in here on display. I currently have one NECA figure, hoping to grow that collection as time goes on. I think this light's making it kind of hard to see. I'm going to get in Jason's face here and see if that helps at all, maybe a little bit, but this Voorhees figure from Freddy vs. Jason looks really cool. I want to get one of Michael Myers and a few others that I can put up here as well, but I love the way it looks. Have my two boxes for the Super NES Classic and the NES Classic. I just think those boxes look really cool, even though I'm probably going to move those over toward my Nintendo stuff once I get more NECA figures eventually. Bluetooth speaker. This is my relatively limited still in box physical collection. You can see DVDs, Blu-rays, a couple of boxes for hardware that are on display, including my Stadia Founders Edition set, Oculus Go, my Switch games that are there, among other things. And so most of my DVDs and Blu-rays are actually in a giant binder just for storage purposes. I think that probably makes a lot of traditional collectors cringe, but that's kind of what I do because we don't have a ton of space to keep up with all that and make things kind of still clean and somewhat simple, and that's what I opted to do. So again, in a nutshell, this is my game/movie room, and you can kind of see, I'll sort of pan around. Again, there's Rocket, there's Lucy. Hi Lucy, our dog Lucy, checking things out. It's a minimalistic, I would say, kind of simple space, even though people would probably look at those Funkos and say there's nothing minimalistic about that, but I really enjoy collecting those because they're not expensive, and you know, they have a lot of, or I should say they display a lot of creativity in what they do with kind of their simple designs, and they have a Funko for just about every type of fandom that you are into, and I have a lot of different fandoms that I'm into, so it works out really well. So anyway, yeah, that's it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the tour. If you have your own gaming room and if you've made a video, post a link down below or just describe it if you want to do that. But I'm curious to hear about how you've set up your space and what that looks like. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again next time.